Hello and welcome to Crazy Canuck Trucking. I'm David, the Crazy Canuck, and
I'm Bridget, the Size Matters Dakotan. Together, we're going to spin some yarns about trucking. These will be real stories, some true, some maybe larger than life, and all will be entertaining.
we'll also try to bust some myths or answer any questions you may have about rolling across the asphalt ribbon in North America.
So please turn up the volume, tighten your seatbelts, ignore those around you, and if you're driving, please don't become one of our stories. We are 10-8.
Hello, folks. Welcome to episode 2. We are so glad that you are here and able to join us. Thank you for listening. Well, let's follow the rules of the road. Are you buckled up? Ready to roll? Please listen closely today and don't be in an accident. We want to make sure that everybody arrives wherever they need to be in a safe manner. We are 10-5. There is an important message coming later in this podcast that we hope you will listen to. Well, my co-host David, the Crazy Canuck, what have you got to share with us today?
Well, I have a couple of things that I should clear up first. As you can hear with our music is It Didn't Fall From the Sky by James Dupree and Dixie Inc., put out by Mighty Loud Records. And we really appreciate them letting us use the music and giving us permission to do that for our intro and all the different things. So that's really cool that it's a brand new song about trucking during the pandemic and truckers in general being an essential service. So that's really cool. And we have some good things coming up today.
Do you want to tell us what they are, or are you just planning on holding us in suspense for the next half hour? What's going on today, David?
Well, you know what they say about how to keep somebody in suspense. Anyway, no, that's good. We are going to have a guy on that I'm going to let you introduce, but he is somebody I have known long time. He and I don't want to admit how long it was, but it's a long time. So anyway, let's get right at it.
The inside, yeah, absolutely. And let's tell the inside jokes because I don't know them until you tell me them, you guys. I don't want to be left in the dark. And I want to start by just asking Ken a bunch of questions because this is all new. We just started following each other on Twitter. So Ken, where are you calling from today? What are you doing today? I can see you on video and I can see it says Lake House above you, but tell me more.
All right. Well, I am calling from beautiful West Porters Lake, Nova Scotia. You see a sign on behind me. Yes, you mentioned about the lake. It is the lake house because I live right on the lake. What am I doing today? Well, I'm doing this fine interview with you guys. And then after that, I'm going to head out in my car and probably go for a cruise.
What kind of car are you driving these days, Ken?
2011 Dodge Challenger RT. So,
ooh, that'll get you from point A to point B.
Yes, Dave knows that very well.
So all those years of trucking and you still don't mind saying, yeah, I'm just going to go get out on the road?
Nope, I don't. I'll keep it pretty brief. I'm retired now, and I'm retired at a young age, but it's because of my mental health. And still heading out the road and the open road with the as they say, the breeze in my hair or the wind in my hair, the proverbial hair. I still enjoy it very much.
You still got the chrome dome up there.
I got a chrome dome, yeah. It's my therapy.
Okay, Ken, I'm the new kid in the bunch here. Tell me, how'd you start trucking?
How did I start trucking? Well, I got out of the military after serving a brief stint. I served 5 years. Had a couple deployments. And then I decided that probably the best thing to do at the time was to head out on the road and learn how to drive truck and go from there. My father is a trucker in the military. My brother's a trucker in the military. So kind of like it's a family thing in a way.
So were you always trucking for the same company? Were you independent? What's your
Oh
background
no,
there?
I drove for many companies, too many that I can count. but the reason why, one of the reasons why I've been through so many companies is because I was looking for that different experience of hauling different things, different trailers, different loads. And that's why I was jumping around a lot to different companies, just so I can learn how to do different things. So,
What was your favorite thing to haul?
farm machinery or something for the military. I've done quite a few of
Okay.
those. I've done quite a few farm machinery loads, and yeah. So it's farm machinery was one of my favorites. So I liked
Okay.
having the big,
As
I
a
liked having
farm
the
kid,
big combines on and stuff like that.
that's what I was going to ask. Because as a farm kid, I remember being the one to have to move that stuff around. And it wasn't even so much fun when it was self-propelled, much less putting it on a trailer. So I don't know what the joy is and why loading it up and hauling it somewhere would be so much fun. You'll have to tell me why.
It looks cool. Plain and simple. It looks cool.
I stopped at a place in northern Iowa once a couple of years ago, and I think this sums it up pretty good. Size matters. I pulled into a little place, and they had a fertilizer depot and a few little things like that. And I walk into the store to make sure I was allowed to park there overnight. And I had a versatile 600, I think it was, quad track. And I pull in there, and it's a big rig, one of the biggest tractors. Well, it's actually the heaviest tractor out there. And I walk inside, and the guy says, I don't know what you have or what it's supposed to do, but I think everybody should have one of those. Because when you roll down the road, everybody sees that farm machinery. And Bridget, you like carpet farming. And
I
you're not a
do.
young girl anymore.
Nope.
And so if you still like carpet farming, imagine how everybody else is. They see the big toys running down the road, and they're like, hey, that's cute. That's cool.
So speaking of being a kid then, as two guys who've trucked for a long time, I would have been the kid in the back seat while mom's driving, waving my arm to get the trucks to blow their horns. Are you guys, is that still a thing you can do? Are you not supposed to? Do kids still do it?
I always oblige. It's one of my favorite things to do. I get such a kick out of honking my horn for the kids. So
Never gets old.
never gets old. No.
Never gets old. I even have guys come up beside me, and they want to see if I'll honk for them, like guys in their 30s or 40s, and I'll honk for anybody.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Gives me an
chance to
excuse
use
to
the
honk
air
the
horn.
horn. That's
That's right.
exactly it. Any excuse.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that has not died off, because that was one of our favorite things when we were little kids. So if I'm using the right lingo, then I would say that was a 10-2. That was received well.
That was received well. Yep.
Yep. That's right. See, well, I'm teaching her about the 10 codes.
The 10 codes. Yes, I got that in the last
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ken, tell me a little bit more. Did you grew up, your dad was trucking, etc. And now you said moving on, you've got some family that still trucks. So are they all also doing farm equipment, still military? Or are there different areas that folks are involved in?
No, we're actually, my dad's retired now. And my brother, I'm not quite sure what he's doing now for excitement, to be honest with you. I think he kind of hung up his keys as well too, but because we all had deployments, so we've all been affected in some certain way.
Where was your deployment, Ken?
I had 2 deployments. We were the first. We were the first rotation. What they call it, rotations is what we call for when each unit goes into a country. So whether you were rotation 0 or rotation 1, 2, or 3, we were rotation 0. So we got to see stuff that that is still to this day pretty hard to talk about. And then in 1990, we had a little flare up in our country which was dubbed the Oka Crisis, and I was deployed to that as well. So yeah, those were my deployments.
So would you say your deployments, along with anything that happened in your regular job, were some of the things that led to where you're at with mental health and so forth today?
Oh yes, yeah, especially even on the trucking side too. There's accidents that we, as you know, probably Dave has explained. We're one of the first people on the scene, so there's probably been about 6 major wrecks that I've attended to that were either fatal or close to fatal, and it was stuff that I'll never forget about.
And we rarely know what happens to the people afterwards. If we've rendered first aid, and we leave the scene, and usually it's cut and dried what's happened, so the cops don't need us anymore. And
No, that's
we
right.
never find out what happened to these people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
In a lot of ways, you guys are like first responders when you're out on the highway.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So today you've hung up your keys, which that's a term that I really like. I look forward to telling retired farmers now that they parked their cultivators or something along those lines. But having hung up your keys, what are some of the things that you're doing today to help with that positive mental health?
Going for my cruises, going for walks, attending my appointments. And it's funny. I always said, I've always told people, gosh, I can't wait till I retire. I can't wait till I retire. You know what? Retired life is hard. Trying to find stuff to do, things to fill your time so you don't drive yourself mad is pretty hard to do.
Excellent. I'll send you a list of things I need done, and I'll feel free to stop by and take care of those for me.
Well, I wouldn't mind stopping in North Dakota.
Yeah. You do a lot of advocating for other people with PTSD, right, Ken?
Say again, Dave?
You do a lot of advocating for other people as well. You don't just focus on yourself only.
No, I do advocate. I did a radio ad for one of our local trucking associations here in the Maritimes. I attend programs here, and I attended a program down in the States that's called Save a Warrior, which basically saved me. They're a fantastic program. And it's just finding those things to do to keep me somewhat active and going and stuff like that. That's what I'm doing.
So what's your advice if you know that there's someone else out there who is struggling as well? What's your best advice to them?
My biggest piece of advice is to reach out. I want to say it's as simple as that, because it's not simple when you're trying to reach out. It is very difficult. But you know what? That's the easiest thing you can do, is just reach out. Reach out to your spouses, reach out to your partners, reach out to your brothers, reach out to who you can. So, yeah.
And one thing I like to tell people to myself is, like a warrior, where you prepare for battle beforehand, before you get into the mental fog. Keep telling yourself, when I get like this, I'm going to call so-and-so. When I get like this, I'm going to call so-and-so. So that when you get to that point, that's not the time to start learning. You don't learn how to fight a battle by going into battle never having fired a weapon. You have to prepare yourself beforehand, so that when you get into that fog, it becomes an automatic muscle memory thing. Okay, I'm gonna call somebody to try and help me through this.
Yeah, that's very important. And like I said, that's again, like I said, reaching out to your brothers and your sisters, and getting that help. The community that I've joined there for Save a Warrior, we're about 1,000 strong. So, and if you they have a Facebook page, on Facebook, And as soon as you say I'm struggling, bang, you get about 10 people right away. Just they're right there immediately. What do you need? Or here's my phone number. You want to chat? Let's have a talk. And that's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm betting that Facebook page is something we can put in the show notes in case there are other people who want to access it. Besides the Warriors, would there be another spot for us to suggest to folks as well?
There are a couple pages that I'm aware of. One's a French one that was put on by a French truck driver to deal with PTSD. And I can't recall the name of it right now, but I know it will come to me after we're done talking.
Give a shout out to your local organization there, Ken. The one you and I both been at. Linda.
Oh yes, them. Nova Scotia Safety Trucking Association. Very good organization. Yeah, very very good people.
Linda Corkum.
Yep.
Fantastic person dealing with mental health. She has some resources as well with the Nova Scotia Trucking Safety Alliance.
So Linda and her team can basically put you in touch with who you need and get you basically some of the background that you should have.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah. They're the first trucking organization in Canada to do this mental health stuff.
Yeah, and they're on top of it too. They're very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They brought me all the way from Winnipeg to Halifax to say a few words there. And Bridget heard that speech, I think.
Oh, was that right? That was a great speech.
So when you guys think about all of the fun things that you have seen, besides anything that's been tough, what stands out, Ken? What's one of those things that happened that you just say, okay, that was hilarious?
That was hilarious? Well,
Oh, that can open up a can of worms.
boys, oh boys. I've got some stories. How much time do we have?
Ken. Tell us one.
Well, I will tell my favorite story because I know Dave likes that one very much, and it was Dave and I were working together at the time.
Oh, yeah. Tell us
Dave,
about that company first.
Oh,
That's a story in itself.
I could never figure out why our license plates were different than our registrations. That's one thing I've never been able to figure out yet.
This is an inside joke, but we were working for a fly-by-night company. I mean,
oh yes, it was fly by night, all right.
Back in the 80s and 90s, if you wanted to become a truck driver and you didn't have enough of the correct experience, you needed to go work for some really lousy company to get some trucking experience.
Yep.
And that's what these companies, how they got their drivers.
That's right.
Because I know I couldn't get hired on at a big company because I didn't have enough experience. I could drive the wheels off a truck because I was a farm boy, but it didn't matter to somebody with their equipment. So I started working at this place, and I won't say their name, but good grief. There was nothing that matched up at that place.
Nope.
You know, the paperwork, every time you drive into a scale, you know, the whole sphincters were just tightened right out.
Oh yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So it was, and then actually I became a dispatcher because I wanted to get off the road, and Ken was one of the drivers, and so go ahead with your story there, Ken.
Well, I was like Dave said, it was a place to get experience. I was a fairly new driver at the time. I've only been driving a couple of years, and driving old trucks, old internationals. So it seemed like his whole fleet was old internationals.
All the cast-offs.
Yeah, but I remember I was heading south and down I-29 in North Dakota and South Dakota. I can't remember where I was going. I remember what I had on, though. I had those sauna tubes that they used that they put in the ground to put concrete forms in. So I remember that much. And I remember I had a quarter tank of fuel left, and I said, you know what? That's enough to get me down to Sioux Falls. I should be good. I should be good to get myself to Sioux Falls. And not so much as I passed the last truck stop for a few miles. Didn't I run out of fuel? Yep. And I mean, I just went past the bridge, like the overpass, and the truck died, and I slowly rolled to a stop, passed onto the ramp, and I was sitting there. And I said, well, at least I'm not too far. I can walk back and get myself a couple jerry cans of fuel.
What was the weather like?
It was winter time, and it was cold. Of course.
Of course.
Winter and cold. Yeah.
South Dakota.
So when you said you were driving up and down I-29 and this happened in South Dakota, I know probably right where that happened because it always snows there. I just passed there this week and I was surprised it wasn't snowing.
So I said to myself, well, I'm going to get fuel. I'm going to put fuel in. And I said, I don't know if it'll be enough fuel to get me down to the next exit, turn around, and come back to the truck stop. I said, but I think instead what I'll do is I'll get my fuel and I'll cut across the median. That's what I'll do. So I said, you know what? I got my fuel. I got the truck going. I had to prime it because it pretty well lost its prime. So that was another reason why I was worried about not having enough fuel, because I had to prime everything and get everything back into the fuel filters and stuff like that. I only bought a couple like 5-gallon jerry cans, but I'm panicking, not realizing, that probably would have been enough fuel, but I wasn't, I was panicking. So here I go. I had to cross the median, and didn't I get stuck in the snow in the median. And the CB started to pick up. Oh, there's a crazy Canadian, i.e., as we call, that's where Dave got his name, Crazy Canuck.
Mm-hmm.
So they said on the CB, there's a crazy Canadian stuck in the median, and he can't go nowheres. Finally, this fella bobtailed and decided to stop. And he said, "You need some help?" I kind of took my hands and motioned towards the truck, and I said, "Do you think?" And not knowing this guy was here to help me, I was agitated, I was cranky, and I was panicking. One of the reasons why I was panicking so bad is because I had my first wife with me, and that's did I say it? Sorry.
No, but you had your wife with you.
I had my wife with me, and we weren't supposed to have our wives with us. So I'm panicking even more because I have a pastor with me I'm not supposed to have.
Unauthorized passenger.
Yep. So here he is. He said, listen, he said, what? He said, why don't we get a chain? We'll hook up to your bumper and I'll try to pull you out. And he said, and just so you know, he says, I have a police scanner. And he said, the state troopers know that you're stuck in the median, so they're probably on their way. I'm thinking, oh, great. Now I'm going to get a ticket. So anyways, we hook up the chains. He starts pulling me out. He gets me pulled out. But then he called me on the CB and said, oh, no, the state troopers are coming. They're going to be here in a couple of minutes. We have to get out of here now. So we ran down the road chained up together at like 60 miles an hour down to the next exit. And we hid behind a building. I remember hiding behind a building.
There's no way that any of that was a good idea.
No, none of it. But you know what? It's one of them stories that will always be in the forefront of my mind because it's just one of them things that I did. But anyways, we were able to elude the police, as you can say, and I was able to go get fuel, got fueled up, and everything was hunky-dory, and I continued on my way.
I still have a problem fueling up today because I remember those days you had to use cash all the time, and then you had to call into the office to get a T-check number, and you never knew with a fly-by-night company if you're going to get the money, and so you're always trying to like stretch the fuel or play the numbers. It was nerve-wracking sometimes working for a company like that. You just never know if you're going to have fuel.
No, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nothing like wintertime to try and mess with you.
Wintertime in South Dakota. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Desolate.
So, desolate is right.
That's right, because it's not as lovely as North Dakota in the dead of winter.
No, North Dakota's better. That's right. Yeah.
South Canadians are always better.
That's right. You got it.
You know, she even apologized to me the other day for something.
Really?
She's got to be, she's definitely a South Canadian.
If she's apologizing, yeah, she's a South Canadian.
But I didn't say sorry. I said sorry.
Oh,
Oh, you said sorry.
sorry. Yeah.
On my phone, it translated to English, I guess, and it said
Yes,
sorry.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
David. I said sorry, not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What do you remember, Kenny, from me in those times?
What are stories and things you guys
What
want
do
to
I
share?
remember about you from those times?
Yeah.
Well, I
You have a
remember.
memory you want to share there?
Is it the story about Georgia?
Georgia.
Is it when you called the Georgia State Police for me because they gave me a ticket because I was in the wrong lane?
Oh, I'd forgotten about that one. I didn't remember that one.
There you go. See, there's another story.
Tell me that one. Tell us that one again. I forgot all about that.
Well, I got myself a ticket. I was in I-75 down in Georgia, and I was in the too far over lane, like no trucks allowed. But I didn't know any better because it was my first time being down there, and I was just saying, okay, if I stick in these two center lanes, I'm all right. And I think I was heading to Florida with a load of birdseed.
No
And
GPS in those days.
no GPS. No. You're using your atlas, your good old laminated trucker's atlas. They should put those things in a museum now, I think. But anyways, I was in the wrong lane, and I got pulled over, and that's fine. I was in the wrong. I took my ticket. So anyways, I remember coming back to the company and giving the ticket to Dave, and Dave says, "What's this?" And I said, "It's a ticket that I got for being in the wrong lane." I said, because I wasn't sure of where I was at. Well, did Dave call the state police barracks and give them the proverbial, you might also say, poop? Like, I mean, he yelled at them, and, well, he got me out of the ticket anyways. But, yeah, I'll never forget the way he was yelling at them. Yeah, he straightened them. He straightened them right up. It was pretty cool.
I had totally forgotten that.
Yeah.
Totally forgotten about that. Yeah, I can be a bit of a hothead sometimes, believe it or not.
No, not Dave. So, yeah.
Yeah. I remember because there was no GPS and there's no tracking on the trailers and stuff or on the trucks like there is today. I remember, as drivers, you would try to BS the dispatcher on where you were.
Well, sometimes you wouldn't get as far as you planned on to.
Yeah, and so you'd say, "Well, I'm here," and really you're like a couple hours away or more, and you just try to make up for it, and you run like crazy. Bonus time. Some old truckers will know what bonus time is.
Yep.
When you're trying to make up for time and it's won't fit into your comic book or logbook anymore. And so Kenny calls in one day.
I find it funny that you almost called a logbook a comic book. Nice. That's good work, guys.
It is a comic book because it's based in fact, but it's not really. It's more of a work of fiction, especially in
work
those
of fiction.
Yeah. So Ken called me one day and said, "I'm at such and such a place," and I'm like, "All right." And I knew I was going to get a call later because Ken would never let this stuff fester too long. He calls me up and says, "Dave, I got to confess, I'm not really at that place. I'm running late." I said, "I know, I've already called the customer." He's like, "How did you know?" That's the benefit to being a driver and then getting into the office. When a driver's bullshitting you a little bit, and you can try to protect the driver
That's
and
right. That's right.
help the driver out.
Yep.
Our boss wouldn't have taken too kindly to that.
No, he wouldn't have. So
I tell you, he ended up making. You remember he made me a separate office.
yes, that's right.
When I started, he and I were in the same office, and then he made me a separate office, and the fool went and put a door on it,
Yep.
and he literally kicked that door down. Brand new door. He'd get pissed off about one of the drivers, and he'd come barging in, and the door would be shut, and like boom, broke the wall on the other side, and yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I ended up deciding one of us was going to die if I stayed there, and I didn't really want it to be me. So that's why I left. My sanity was being tried. So yeah, crazy times there.
Crazy times, but good times.
Yep. And we've stayed in touch ever since through all
Yes, we have. Yeah, through all the years, and there's even probably some points where we lost touch, but we gained back up, like found each other again, and yeah, for sure.
It's
Do you think
tougher to
that happens?
find.
Do you think that happens to a lot? Do you think that happens to a lot of guys that you work with, that y'all have a way of staying in touch, that it never really quite breaks off, but you always have that opportunity to get back together?
Yeah, I think so, especially today with social media platforms and stuff like that. Yeah.
And in the old days in trucking, then it was harder to stay in touch, but it was a smaller community too. And we could keep up with each other a little bit by saying, hey, so-and-so, and you'd sit in at a truck stop and you would talk to people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You could still kind of stay in touch, and sometimes it might be a couple of years, but then you would connect back up again. Today it's a lot easier with social media. Just search for the name. What do you have for a 10 code for us today, Bridget?
So I think one that folks are probably wondering what it means. I'm going to say that would be a 10-5 relay message, because you guys had an awesome message today regarding mental health and the things that you have been through. So if we were to use 10-5, are we using the right code?
What do you say about that, Kenny? 10-5 means relay message, and that would be more like 10-5, there's going to be a message coming through, pay attention and pass it on to so-and-so.
Yeah, I would think so. If we're using it, say if we were doing it in the beginning of the show, saying 10-5, there's an important message coming through, sure, you can kind of use it for that. Yeah.
In all the years that you guys have been trucking, has anything changed dramatically? Whereas the rest of us see huge sweeping changes in the industries we work in. What have you guys seen change?
Oh boy.
Ooh, yeah.
There's been a lot of changes. I think probably one of the biggest, and I'd say probably one of the biggest changes was 9/11. That was huge. 9/11.
Yeah.
The way they streamlined the border process and stuff like that. That was just a huge change in our industry. So,
For good? I mean, for the better?
Yes, I think for the better. Yeah, because they had to get a lot better. Where we have such an open border, they had to get better to keep the traffic moving seamlessly and uninterrupted. So they had to get
more secure.
get better and more secure, and they had to they had to adjust for that, and they got really good at it. So
yeah.
Yeah,
the old days when you'd have to walk to a broker just about every load,
Yep.
freezing cold weather.
Yep.
I think one of the changes that has driven a lot of what's happened today is women in trucking.
Women too, yes, it's been huge. Yeah.
Because things have had to change. And as a male, the dispatcher and everybody else just told us, just get behind the wheel and drive. We don't care. Just suck it up. Be a man. Stuff like that, right? Can't tell that to new drivers or to women drivers if you want to keep them.
That's
You know,
right.
you can play on the male ego. Unfortunately, women are driven a little bit differently than we are, and they've started standing up and saying, "Hey, we want nicer trucks to drive. We don't want a shit box," or yeah, and we want facilities that are much nicer. And I credit them for a lot of the newer vehicles and newer terminals, nicer for the drivers.
Do you think that are there more women that are driving on their own, or are they a bigger part of a team driving situation?
Gee,
Used
that's
to
a good
be
question.
team. Used to
Yeah.
be team. But nowadays I know a lot of single women drivers. And it used to be also that if they were single, they'd stay in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're all over. They're great. They're way easier on equipment than guys are,
Oh yes, they are. Yeah.
you know. And they're usually very good with the customers. So to me, that when I drive my truck nowadays, it's just unbelievable compared to the stuff we used to drive back in the days in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, the trucks are so nice now.
You had to work for a long time at a place to get a decent truck. You know, this truck I'm driving right now, they went out and bought it brand new for me. You know, like a new driver at a different company, that would have never happened. You know, never. You'd
So Ken, what was your favorite truck to drive?
I had a
which one you gonna
2006.
say?
I had a 2006 Freightliner Classic, and it worked well. It was a good truck. It was a condo, so it was the big bunk. And I had it set up just the right way for myself. You know, I had surround sound in the bunk and stuff like that, so it was done up just like home.
Yeah. What do you have in there? PlayStation?
I had a PlayStation and everything. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I had it all rigged up. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to meet in Toronto.
We used
I'd
to
see
meet
you
in
in that
Toronto.
truck.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
All right, I'm going to be honest. I would never have imagined that Ken and the Crazy Canuck were PlayStation devotees. So this is a new thing for me.
Oh
He
yes.
is. He is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm into other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a way to pass my time because at times I'd be up in Toronto and I'd have to wait some hours at a customer because I'm loading dairy products. So a lot of times that dairy product is being processed and produced as I'm waiting. So so sometimes I had to wait a couple hours at a customer.
Well, that is a perfect introduction for the fact that we're going to record this and send it out in June, and June is Dairy Month. So Ken,
There you go.
congratulations. Way
Awesome.
to bring up Dairy Month through the dairy farmers.
There we go. Yeah, I was a dairy hauler, so. Yeah.
Yeah. Bridget, I saw a post from Bridget the other day that showed a little farm with a dairy cow and
Very good.
yeah, very good. Yep.
Yep, you never stop being a dairy farmer's daughter.
There you go.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you, Ken, for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
Ken, if folks want to follow you, where would they find you on social media? What's your Twitter handle?
I'm on Instagram. I don't go on Twitter a whole lot, so.
Okay.
Twitter on Instagram, I'm Genuine Blue Eyes with a Z. And that wasn't my pick of the name. That was my wife's pick of the name because I couldn't think of one. So.
Well, she is pretty smart. She is the
Yes,
better
she's
one.
very
And
smart.
you know,
She is the better half in this relationship. So
yeah.
yeah.
Say hi to her.
Yes, I will do most definitely do so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi,
But
Wanda.
but no, it was definitely my pleasure to be on for sure.
Did you have a
It's
CB
great.
handle? We never got into that.
Did I have a CB handle? Yeah, I did. I had a couple in my times, but I think the one that really stuck was Desperado, which is a whole other story. But maybe we'll save that for some other time.
We'll cover that another time. So we got the
Yes,
Crazy Canuck here, and size matters.
How about, Ken, if you put that, why you had Desperado as your handle on Instagram, and then we can use that in a future show.
sure, why not?
Excellent.
All right.
Because I do know there's a lot of guys on Instagram as well as Twitter who truck. So I look forward to gathering up their stories of how they got their handles.
There you go.
Thank you for making it this far. Please contact us for any stories you may want to share. You can be anonymous if needed. Please share, give us 5-star ratings, and stay tuned for more.
Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to our producer, Big T, my co-host, Size Matters Dakotan. I'm the Crazy Canuck, and we are 10-7.